Hello, everyone, and welcome to our casual coffee chats. This is where we give you a little sneak peek of our presenters, their topic, and what you can expect from their presentation at the largest annual Canadian Holistic Conference, which is going to be our 14th Holistic Conference. It's coming up on Friday, May 13th and Saturday, May 14th. And this year's theme is Immunity, Unleashing Your Natural Defenses. It is my absolute pleasure today to be joined with Dr. Spooner. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, what a pleasure to be able to present to your conference again. I've done it a few years now, I think.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember, but yeah, I'm very, very excited about this year. Basically, I mean, where I'm coming at with this is just as a clinician. I'm a naturopathic doctor here in Vernon, British Columbia. I'm kind of in the heart of the cannabis space. I've actually worked as a chief scientific officer for a number of cannabis companies and startups. So I've been involved in that industry, and it's been interesting to watch the evolution of that. But I think one of the biggest frustrations was what's going on in terms of the cannabis space, and specifically around how other practitioners access some non-psychedelic cannabinoids, things like CBD, CBC, CBG, CBN, and these are all the non-psychoactive cannabinoids. But unfortunately, the way the regulations are set up, most people can't access that, or most practitioners don't feel comfortable because either they've got a regulatory college or there's legal concerns about that as well too. So, you know, just where I am here in Vernon, I mean, I'm deluged by patients. And it's interesting. At one point in time, we had, I think before legalization, we had close to 20 different cannabis shops.
Oh, wow.
And they weren't being populated by stoners. I mean, I'm getting little old ladies in their 80s paying bridge who are saying, hey, this CBD is really working for my arthritis. What can I do? So that led me down a road of starting to look at other components of the endocannabinoid system, which is the system that's been recently discovered. You know, it's kind of a modifier for, you know, stress, fight or flight responses and things like that. And there's huge tie-ins with so much of our physiology around this that we're starting to understand now. So that's part of one of the big elements of the lecture that I'm going to be talking about here, which is you know, how do these endocannabinoid systems regulate immune function? You know, things like inflammation through cyclooxygenase pathways, which is inflammatory. I'm doing a lot of work right now on neuropathic pain for like chemotherapy-induced neuropathies. Endometriosis has a component to it as well too, which is immune-mediated. So those types of things are things that we're going to be taking a look at. But furthermore, it's also talking about different types of compounds that actually act within the endocannabinoid system that most people have no idea. And if you've been working in the herbal medicine industry or the nutritional industry, consulting and working with patients, you'll have already used some of these things. So for example, if you don't have an optimal omega-3 status, your endocannabinoid system won't work. You know, so all these people who are out there taking all this cannabis and doing it recurrently and things like that, if we're not optimizing their nutrition and getting their omega-3 status set up properly, you're never going to get anywhere other than to continue keeping someone dependent on a medication. You know, there's things like extracts out of black pepper, for example. You know, it turns out that black pepper has a compound called beta-caryophyllene. Cannabis grows a ton of it, and in fact, it extracts really clearly through CO2 extraction as well too. But it turns out that this actually binds with the cannabinoid type 2 receptor better than CBD, right? And this is something that, again, if you take a look at things like many of the pain liniments and anti-inflammatory compounds and that, many of them will have black pepper. Like think about curcumin and black pepper. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's possible that, you know, some of the beta-caryophyllene could be acting as part of a CB2 agonist or stimulating the CB2 receptor. So that's a really another interesting one as well too. Echinacea. I mean, we've been using echinacea for how long for immune function? Well, it turns out echinacea alkamides, interact with the endocannabinoid system as well too. So there's all these really, really fascinating areas where there's this intersection where I know as a naturopathic physician, I was on our regulatory college. I headed up, you know, the task force looking at cannabis regulations for naturopathic doctors, and just ran into a stone wall on getting that any further. And so that's what prompted me into this as well too. And then further, you know, just my experience in the industry has been super frustrating. You know, I've always believed that the cannabis industry should be looking at the natural medicine, you know, herbal nutraceutical space, standardization, good manufacturing. But I'll tell you, one of the reasons I left is the last company that I had it lined up. We were going to do a 100 milligram CBD product That's the equivalent of something called Charlotte's Web, which was for children with epilepsy. I have a dear colleague, a medical doctor friend. Her son has a severe unremitting seizure disorder. She was going to come on board to help with this, to do the research behind it. She's out in Winnipeg. We're going to make this product. The company that I worked with decided to go with making a THC freezy pop, right? And that there, in my mind, says it all in terms of the commitment to health and patients, and then also to helping practitioners access these things. So that's kind of my experience over the last 10 years, where my direction's kind of gone with that. I lectured quite extensively on the endocannabinoid system and cannabis, less so since COVID, obviously, but hopefully, this will be an interesting talk, and people will understand how to work with it. It becomes a little less scary, and other options that are out there for people to access. And hopefully you guys will enjoy it.
Yeah, no, that's so exciting. And, we're seeing in our practice more and more of our clients coming that have already been prescribed by, yes, a naturopathic doctor, and they're using, some of those oils and things. And it would be so fantastic for us as nutritionists across Canada to know what we can do nutritionally to be supportive to that. So in your presentation, it sounds like you'll be sharing some really key, foods or nutrients that the nutritionist could recommend to some of their clients. Is that right?
Absolutely. And that's the interesting thing is this endocannabinoid system, it's what we call promiscuous, right? It intersects with so many different different systems, inflammatory systems. There's ties in with serotonin, dopamine, pain receptors called TRPV1, and all of those have nutritional components to them that we can be looking at optimizing. And whether that's taking a look at things like B vitamin status for poor methylation, some of the nutrigenomic stuff that's working into that. Whether that's taking a look at, COMT, which is an enzyme that clears out stress hormones and that you can modify nutritionally as well too. All those things start to tie in. So like I said, we're going to build in some pretty cutting edge science behind that in terms of nutrigenomics along with this, and then also tie it in with the endocannabinoid. And I think, from my understanding, I'm one of the very few people speaking on this. So
Yes.
I'm hoping it's a little bit on the innovative side, a little bit cutting edge, and feeling a little bit like I'm wandering out in the forest a little bit sometimes, screaming at the trees. But
Yeah.
I see this every day. I'm in clinical practice. I see patients 4 days a week, and so I can see the benefit of these things as we start to work and optimize with this as well too. So clinically, I should have some good be able to answer questions and things like that too.
Yeah, amazing. Well, wow, what a fantastic presentation. So you guys are definitely not going to miss that. We do have early bird tickets on sale at csnalumni.org. So make sure you get your tickets. You will have the agenda, so you are not going to want to miss this presentation. Before we let you go, we always love to ask our presenters if there's one fun fact or a little hidden talent that maybe you would like to share with us and that we don't know about you.
I'm pretty boring guy for the most part, but I live in the Okanagan, and I'm a massive cross country skier. I love doing tons of cross country skiing. I was over in Norway a couple of years ago before COVID broke, doing a big race called the Birkebeiner, which is this 56K cross country ski race with 10,000 people in there, and I'm getting passed by like 80-year-old Norwegians on wooden pine tar sticks, right? So that's my big passion as well too. But other than that, I'm a pretty straight-laced guy.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Well, thank you
Cool.
so much for your time, and we can't wait to see you at the conference.
Awesome. Great. Take care.
Great. Yes, thanks so much.